You enjoy dominating the battlefield, winning every 1v1 and being the hero. That's why you gravitate towards damage rolls in game. This is Vargon Draxar, and I'm going to help you climb as a DPS in Overwatch. Now make sure you stay tuned to the end of the video for the most crucial tip. First and foremost, the DPS role in Overwatch is drastically different than any other shooters on the market. We have everything from traditional snipers, pistols, and assault rifles, all the way to sticky bombs, freeze rays, and light beams. This is all to say that if you're coming to Overwatch from another game, it's going to play drastically different. From the large hero roster to even the simple fact that you can move and shoot while still being accurate. Overwatch is certainly its own unique game, so your skills from Valorant, Call of Duty, or Fortnite won't necessarily translate here. As a DPS hero in Overwatch, you really have two jobs: secure eliminations and stay alive, and how this job looks will vary greatly from hero to hero. How you go about securing elims will have an entirely different setup for someone like Widowmaker as compared to Venture. To have a better understanding of how this looks, first we need to know what category the DPS roster characters fall into. First we have Dive. These are characters who will excel at flanking and going into the enemy backline, while also having cooldowns and mobility to get out when the situation gets dangerous. Our Dive DPS heroes are Genji, Tracer, Reaper, and Venture can fall into this category. I would mention Sombra here too, but with the Season 13 rework, it's tough to say exactly where she lies within Overwatch. She can still flank, but she feels stronger at the moment playing in more of a brawl setup. Then we have our poke heroes. These characters excel at fighting from mid to long range and damaging down enemies to force out early resources. These characters are Ashe, Bastion, Cassidy, Echo, Hanzo, Junkrat, Pharah, Sojourn, Soldier, and Widowmaker. Finally, we have our Brawl DPS. These characters excel at fighting from close to mid-range while grouped up with their team. These heroes are Mei, Symmetra, and Torbjorn. Now when it comes to Brawl and Poke, some of these heroes are interchangeable, and just because I listed a hero in a certain category doesn't mean you can't play, for example, a Soldier 76 who goes on the flank, or a Reaper in a Brawl comp. But knowing your best effective range to get your damage and elims in is crucial when playing DPS. Earlier I'd also mentioned staying alive. This is your second most important job as a DPS. Your best way to do this is through positioning. Make sure you utilize high ground, cover, and your tank. As far as positioning is concerned, high ground is especially important. Taking advantage of high ground will make your shots easier to hit and your enemy's shots harder to hit, all while denying them prime positioning. It's also extremely beneficial here to learn where the health packs are on the map. Knowing where you can either dip away to or fight around to get a quick health top up can make a world of difference. Another good distinction to know in Overwatch, especially if you're new to the game, is which characters are hit scan, meaning you aim and click so the bullet will go exactly where you were aiming, or their projectile, meaning there'll be a certain path the bullet will take and it differs depending on the hero. The hit scan heroes are Ashe, Bastion, Cassidy, Soldier 76, Widowmaker, and to an extent Sojourn with the charged railgun. I would highly recommend becoming comfortable playing at least one of these heroes when trying to climb in Overwatch. The main reason is that an uncontested Pharah or Echo flying above your whole team can completely ruin your chances of winning, if neither DPS can play hit scan characters. Next, let's talk about target priority. This is something that a lot of people struggle with. Should we focus the supports, the DPS, or all group up on the enemy tank? The true answer is it's a bit situational. There will be times when targeting the tank rather than the supports is the right play, and vice versa. But typically, for most situations, you want to try and eliminate the enemy's supports. If the opponent doesn't have anyone to heal them, the rest of their team will fall in due time. But there's plenty of times where you may not be playing a dive or flanking DPS, and the enemy supports are positioned in a way that you can't hit them. Does this mean you don't go for anyone just because the supports aren't available? No, of course not. In these situations where the supports aren't visible, we want to try and prioritize the enemy who either A, poses the biggest threat to our team. For example, we may know that the enemy Sigma has their ultimate available, or B, has just used a crucial cooldown and now they can't use it to escape. For example, we just saw the enemy Reaper use Fade. There isn't an exact science to target priority, but I would list it in this order. First, any low health targets that can be secured quickly with little effort. Second, supports. Third, what your team deems as the biggest threat at the time. Fourth, the DPS, and finally the enemy tank. The last and absolutely most important tip for your DPS play in Overwatch is to drop the ego. I want you to play with confidence, don't get me wrong. Win your 1v1, but don't become toxic if something isn't working. Don't start throwing blame on your tank or support. Is it maybe actually their fault that something's going wrong? Possibly. But more than likely it's a team effort that things may not be going your way. It's always best to keep things civil in text and voice chat and focus on how you can improve as a player rather than start to blame others. This is technically a tip for all roles really, but unfortunately in my thousands of hours in the game, I've seen this more out of DPS players, and I would really just love for all of us to break this habit of toxicity. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button. And if it helped you out, make sure to sub as more tips, tricks, and guides videos are coming your way. And I will catch you all next time.